Hello and welcome to the Graveyard Media Podcast, episode number 20 for the week of November 27th, 2017. I'm your host, Saine Grey, and with me is Dalsson
Hi, here I am.
and Thel.
Ah, jeez. Oh man, I'm still fucking blasted from Thanksgiving.
This might be kind of a rough episode.
Fucking Uncle John's goddamn Jello shots will fuck you up for an entire year.
Just in time for next Thanksgiving.
Just in time for next Thanksgiving.
Happy
See,
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
That already happened, guys.
Yeah,
Done with
happy
that.
Thanksgiving.
It's over.
We completely forgot to mention it. I completely fucking blanked on the fact that it was this Thursday. So sometimes you forget shit.
That was last Thursday.
Last Thursday.
I didn't even do anything on Thanksgiving, and my
That's
Thanksgiving was awful, and we're not going to talk about it.
Okay,
Understandable.
that's fair.
Okay, so we're going to start off by talking about games and movies we've checked out this week, then head into gaming and movie news.
Okay,
So who wants to start this week?
Thel does.
Okay.
Belle wants to start this week. I'm going to go grab some water real fast.
Okay.
I know I should have done this before, but...
Oh no, it's
Okay.
fine. I've completely forgot my coffee too. So, ooh, jeez,
Man,
what's
this is
the
a
first
rough
thing I want to
episode.
talk about? Probably just one of the movies that I saw. Probably the only movie that I did see this week. That we're not gonna talk about like together because there was a bunch of stuff that we didn't watch together. Let me just bring up, see if I can't remember the title of this. The Other Side of Hope. It was a Finnish movie that I was kind of surprised about. It was directed by, oh jeez, I'm super not prepared. I'm sorry. Let me just bring up this director's name. Fucking,
Sorry about that.
that's fine.
Thel's talking about directors.
Oh?
Okay, so I saw a movie called The Other Side of Hope. It was directed by a guy called Aki Kaurismäki. He had directed a bunch of movies before this, just a fuck ton of movies throughout like the 2000s and 2010s. Apparently he's made sort of a name for himself in Finland and in other parts of the world, and I'd never fucking heard of him before. So I decided I'd check out this movie, and like I was looking at the trailers and I was like really, really surprised because this movie came out this year, right? And it looks like a movie from the 60s. I mean, in every facet, about everything that it could do looks like a movie from the 60s. From like the color tone to the shadows behind everything, the lighting, the cinematography, probably the cameras they used were from the 60s. To the point where there was just a bunch of like technology that you'd see in like, and specifically like European and Japanese movies from the 60s. Like they had that whole sort of color French New Wave thing going on. Like think Les Samurai and Tokyo Drifter. It had all of that stuff, and also again in the movie, a lot of the set design looked like the 60s on purpose because there was a lot of technology from that era. Like there was a scene where a guy wakes up and you zoom in on the alarm clock, and the alarm clock is absolutely an alarm clock pulled directly from a Goodwill that someone had in the 60s. The dude drives a 60s car. There's a point in the police station where the guy's getting like his fingers scanned by an electronic finger scanner, and he's got a laptop showing his finger scans, but the dude in the police station is still typing on a typewriter.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's and that's one of the things. The movie isn't a very strange movie. It's a very, very, very dry film.
So they play it straight, they just have this very odd thing about it.
Yeah, and here's one of the things. They play that aspect of the movie straight. Some things they don't play straight is this is like a comedy movie in the sense that it's horribly dour and depressing, but like sometimes funny things happen, and it has a happy ending in the end.
So BoJack Horseman, but without the happy ending.
Basically, and it does that thing like I talked a lot about, like tonal inconsistency, where there's like some very dour and depressing stuff. It's a film about like the European migrant crisis, and there's the one of the main characters. There are two main characters. One of them is coming in and is constantly being beat up by Nazis and shit, but then on the other side you have the other main character going in and working with these three like assholes who are fucking hilarious. The tone works really well because the very, very depressing stuff and the very, very funny stuff are both the same kind. There's the very dry, quiet, a bunch of people sit in a room and it's depressing. Like, and then there's the very dry, quiet, a bunch of people sit in a room and it's funny.
You know, that almost kind of reminds me of A Beautiful or Life is Beautiful. That 1990s 70s like comedy slash drama slash romance about a really like funny guy, Jewish, and is like by the end of the movie gets killed in an internment camp.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that movie, Life is Beautiful?
I've absolutely heard of it, yeah.
It's a great
but
movie.
I've never seen it, yeah.
It
not.
does the weird tonal inconsistency a lot better than a lot of things because it's the guy just seems funny. It's not like they I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not like they're trying to shoehorn humor into a humorless subject. It's just a guy who is really like entertaining.
Yeah. And that's the thing about this. Like it doesn't feel inconsistent. It feels like the tone is consistent. It's just sometimes funny things happen. Like there's a scene where it's like they completely screw up making sushi in the restaurant because they used like salted something like this horrible like pickled salted fish in place of like the salmon and stuff that they were supposed to be using it as the sushi, and like everyone leaves at once. The guy just sort of sits down at like a table despondently drinking, and then all the lights in like the 60s jukebox below the picture of Jimi Hendrix goes out. And it's hilarious because like if it didn't have that scene about like oh crap, we're out of this kind of fish, oh man, I didn't think we're gonna have these many people, what do we have, oh we got this garbage. Ugh. You know, it's like, we fucked up, rather than, oh, Jesus Christ, everything is terrible. It's great. Of course, the thing is, like, the movie is very, very slow in the beginning. It's not a perfect movie. There was a lot of, it's a little bit sloppy. Specifically, a lot of the actors are not very good at speaking English when they have some English-speaking lines. I think everyone gets to speak English in this movie a little bit. It's in 3 languages, Arabic, Swedish, and English. Mostly Swedish. Oh no, probably mostly Arabic actually. But yeah, everyone gets their chance speaking in all of these languages, and that's really nice. But it's very, very slow for the first half. Like before he gets the restaurant, pretty much not very much happens. It really picks up when he gets the restaurant, and like, you know, the character who is the person who's coming in doesn't like meet with the other main character until like 3/4 of the movie, and that was like the best stuff. Yeah, a little bit sloppy, but that's okay because it doesn't feel like it was written by a committee. It feels like this is someone's story that they're trying to tell, and it's really, really good at that. And it's the comedy in this probably wouldn't have made me laugh as much as it did if it weren't for all of the actors being phenomenal, aside from not many of them being able to speak very good English. But, you know, that's not their native language, so it's like, whatever. Another thing I wanted to mention about this movie is it had this kind of strange obsession with, like, street musicians, or, like, sort of like career musicians. Oh yeah, fair enough. But like it would spend like a lot of time with like these just a bunch of musicians. Like there'd be like a concert and it'd just like show the musicians playing like their song and then cut to the other guy, or like, you know, a song would be playing in the background, something's happening, and it would like cut to a street musician playing that song for a little while, or there would be a, you know, point in time where like a character was sitting outside of a bar being depressed, but like the character would be up in this corner while like this would be taken up by a street musician, and like the character would be in the window of the bar and the street musician would just be playing. It was kind of weird, but I mean, interesting. I don't know how I could recommend this movie to anyone, but it's a very, if you feel like fucking
anyone at all, huh?
Yeah, if you like slow moving fucking films from the 60s, like noir films from the 60s, fucking European, Japanese noir films from the 60s, this is this man wants this movie to be like this, and when I say they just don't make movies like this anymore, I mean they very literally do not make movies like this anymore.
It has an 89 on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's a good ass movie. The director is good. I might check out some of his works. I might look for him in the future. He might get a career out here, but based on these, I almost don't feel like he would want to. Like I see a lot of like low down indie directors getting like careers in Hollywood because they get brought on to like Marvel projects or like they just get funded and make a bunch of money like Denis Villeneuve. But it's like. This guy doesn't make movies. This guy makes movies for like Hollywood back in the 40s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Hollywood ain't like
back
that
in the 40s when they made movies about the 60s. Instead of in the 2010s where they make movies about the 2030s.
well, here's the thing. Like tonally, it's as far as Hollywood goes, it's more like a. It's like that golden age of noir with the black and white stuff. But in color, like it was in the 60s. It's very much it's a very interesting film. I'm glad I watched it.
Skype has stopped.
Oh no, just for you.
Oh no. Yeah, just for you, dude.
No, I mean it crashed.
Yeah, so, I can see you. But yeah, that's aside from the stuff that we're going to talk about together, that's about all I've done. That I didn't talk about last week. Like.
I saw Coco this weekend.
Okay.
Boy, was it phenomenal. Oh, you have to mute yourself on Skype.
Yeah.
My bad.
Fuck's turned on.
Oh.
Coco, was that
That was that other. Was that
the one that they played after the Olaf short that they put in theaters?
Yeah, that one.
That movie?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
So that short was long, but it wasn't nearly as bad as everyone was saying it was.
Yeah. People are mostly sad that it sort of got in the way of Coco.
Yeah. It was like 20 minutes or something. And Coco was pretty long too.
Okay.
Especially for an animated film. Like pretty long.
Interesting.
But man, its pacing was perfect. I don't think I've seen a better paced movie since like I don't know, like The Incredibles. It was just fantastic the whole time. Obviously, if you've seen any like trailers or anything for it, it's very heavily focused on music.
Okay.
Which shouldn't really surprise anyone.
Yeah.
But that being said, like even as someone who's not really the biggest fan of like traditional Mexican music, it does a very good job of keeping that like good. I don't know. It's not. All of the music consistently is really great.
Okay.
I don't really know what all I have to say about it though, because it's so good the whole way through that I just think everyone should see it. It's probably like in some of my favorite movies this year, like straight up.
Yeah, and that's what like a lot of people have been saying about it. And I've done a lot of ragging on Coco just because of the fact that it's one of those Disney Pixar things, and this isn't even like a new thing where they took George Gutierrez's idea, kicked him out the door, and then did their own thing with it. George Gutierrez liked it, and he gave it a seal of approval, and he's like, I'm still a little bit salty, a little bit, but honestly, some of my friends are working on this, and this is another movie about the Day of the Dead, and I gotta give it a recommendation just so that more movies like this can be made.
Right, and it kind of reminds me of the Book of Life from a few years ago. That was in 2014.
That's what
Literally, they took the idea of the Book of Life, kicked him out, and made their own movie.
That's why Thel's been ragging on this movie.
But the thing is, like, Coco is so much better on so many different levels than the Book of Life. Like, it's not even close. Like, and really? I liked the Book of Life when it came out.
The Book of Life.
Yeah, I liked it a lot when it came out, but like if you compare the two, they're not even close. Like Coco is just so much better. Well, I mean, the Book of Life did some interesting things. Like they had a cover of Creep halfway through the movie and stuff. Yeah. So they had like more Western music in it, but that's almost to its detriment compared to Coco.
Yeah, I would almost agree.
all of the characters were great. Like they did a good job of kind of explaining like Mexican folklore, in terms of like how what the rules of the Day of the Dead are for the dead people, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like they kind of talked about the tradition and what they kind of mean. It was a really good job about bringing someone else's culture to Western audiences.
Neat.
It didn't like at no point did it feel like they were taking advantage of their culture just for the purpose of packaging it as a movie. It was completely like respectful to the tone of their beliefs. I assume. I mean, I'm not Mexican, but that's from my perspective. It seemed like it did their culture good justice. And it's also the highest grossing movie in Mexico ever. So
yeah,
neat.
My theater.
Yeah, it seems I did hear it was doing like really well in Mexico too. So that supports what you were saying.
My theater did simultaneous showings in Spanish and English.
Ooh.
Not simultaneous as in like literally at the same time, but they had showings in both.
Right.
And that's one of the things. I almost feel like I want to watch this more in Spanish just because of the fact that like
I don't know how super necessary that is.
Here's my thought is, was the movie originally created in like with Spanish?
I think it was originally created in English. It is a Pixar
I feel
film.
It should probably be watched in English.
Yeah, it's not.
What I feel like
I don't know how they do it actually for the Spanish version of the film. They might just have re-lip synced the whole thing. Like it is Pixar. I would not put it past them to do something like that.
Definitely could.
And I mean, DreamWorks did that with Kung Fu Panda 3 specifically for Chinese audiences.
Right, because Kung Fu Panda was such a super popular series in China for.
And mostly because it was a dual project between a Chinese company and DreamWorks.
Right, I think that's the only reason why they made Kung Fu Panda 3 was because they had so much Chinese investments.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah, so Coco is just phenomenal. Music is consistently good throughout the whole movie. Pacing is just perfect. Like there's, I don't know, there was never a moment that felt like it shouldn't be there, and it was a long film too. It was a pretty long film.
Yeah.
Especially as far as animated films go. I think the one thing that really trips me up more than anything else, other than maybe like general writing, is pacing. Pacing is like so important to movies, and this movie was just so well paced. Like everything. I don't know, you felt like you were going along for the ride with them, and it didn't feel like there were dull moments, and it didn't feel like there were moments that were pointless. And you didn't have moments where you were sitting at watching an animated snowman going, when will this be over? So,
except for the very beginning of the movie.
Hold on, my cat is like...
Flashjin confirms that the lips are resynced in Spanish, which is completely and totally unsurprising.
Yeah. That's cool. I like I said, I wouldn't put past Pixar to do something like that. And obviously it was effective because they could simultaneously release in Mexico, making it super popular in Mexico.
Yeah, right. And it wasn't even a simultaneous release. It was released earlier in Mexico. It was a few months earlier.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't know that either. Yeah, but I don't know. Either way, I don't think that it... Like, I mean, you would expect this from a Disney Pixar project, but all the voice acting was spot on and great, so it did not seem like I don't know, it didn't feel like it was hurt by being in English. And actually, they do have kind of Spanglish moments where they, are talking in English, but they have Spanish phrases in it.
Right.
Which, I mean...
That makes sense.
Yeah, so if you're a Western... Like, I would say if you're, like, you have a Mexican child, like, I don't know, your family's Mexican and whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think bilingual. That, like, a bilingual American-Mexican child would probably benefit more from watching it in English because it's more similar to that kind of, I don't know, like mixture of languages and cultures a little bit more.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Unless you're going with, relatives who might not fully speak English or have like strong ability to speak English, like maybe then you would want to see it in Spanish. So it's up to the moviegoer, but I would definitely recommend it to basically everyone, especially people interested in Mexican culture. Very good.
Cool.
So yeah, like it was so good that I don't even know what I want to, like, I don't even want to talk about it that much because I'd rather not spoil anything.
And that's generally like the consensus that I've seen.
What is it about?
It's about a boy who crosses over into the land of the dead for plot reasons. So,
yeah,
nice.
So he's he's going into the land of the dead. It's definitely more about like a boy being in the land of the dead rather than like Day of the Dead ghosts being in the real. It's like I don't know. It kind of similar to the Book of Life, where a lot of it, almost all of it, took place on dead side. So.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
Cool. Very interesting. Very good. I recommend it wholeheartely.
Okay.
All right.
And it's absolutely going to win the Oscar this year.
Oh yeah. I don't even know what is going up against it this
year. Your Name.
Oh well, I mean it would have anyway, but
yeah. Yeah.
Like you compare.
Oh, it is going up against Cars 3 though. That might be a tough one.
No, it's not gonna win over Cars 3.
Yeah,
Cars 3 would lose points just for being a sequel.
Fair enough.
That's true. Yeah. So that's neat. Any last thoughts on Coco? Should we move on to?
Yeah. No, I think that's it.
Okay. Let's save shows for after games because I'm sure there's a lot less game.
Okay.
And the shows all three of us can kind of contribute.
Yeah, because I think
I don't know. We should just stick with I think we should just stick with TV and film if we're gonna. I think we should go right into Punisher.
Okay, Punisher. Let's do it.
Let's go right into Punisher.
So a lot of people talked like when Punisher first came out, one of the big buzzes things was that Punisher got a lot of mixed reviews. And, after seeing it, I really have no idea why anyone didn't like it. It was great.
I looked through some of the reviews. It was very kind of interesting what some of the reasons were, and a lot of them are like political, actually, which is kind of frustrating to me because it's like I think something should stand on its own, not kind of be dragged down by. I don't know the like, kind of political environment around it.
Yeah, like politics in a show, and not have that shouldn't affect the review negatively.
But the thing is, the
reviewer disagrees with whatever you were saying.
I don't even feel like the politics in the Punisher are that crazy. Like I don't think
there was
there's not. It's not very overt at all.
And they had things about PTSD victims.
Okay. I'm going to stop you and go into what the specific issues people were having with it were. Basically, the glorification of gun violence and the ability to regulate firearms in general. That is why. That is like a major thing.
You are watching a television show about the Punisher!
Well, here's the thing. You said the glorification of gun violence, and that's just... Is this the fucking 90s? Do people still give a shit about that?
It's weird.
Well, and not only that, it's been this really new wave critic deal. This fucking deal with new wave critics that come in and get ridiculously political all over everything's shit. To a point of detriment to, the entire critical world. They take things like this, which is a little bit political, and blow it the fuck up. They take things like Ghostbusters, which, was only political, on paper because Sony said it was, and blow it the fuck up.
And the weird thing is, they don't look at the good things that it... most of the reviews, especially the negative ones that I was looking at, weren't focusing on the good things it was saying about like PTSD and how we treat veterans and that sort of angle. That is the place where you would think that like politically that's what we might want to talk about, but no, they focus on like there's a very specific episode that multiple critics brought up, and it was I think it was Resupply. It was like the third episode or something where Frank and Micro steal a bunch of guns. And kind of what they were saying about it was like I don't know, there were like small comments in that episode about how like the police just can't regulate these guns on this level is basically what they were saying. But I don't think like you have to kind of consider that this takes place in a universe that has the Hulk in it, that has Captain America in it, that has Black Widow in it. Like this is a world,
even a universe that has like Luke Cage.
This is a universe where there are just super powered people who can steal stuff. Like the Vulture. That's what the Vulture was doing in Spider-Man Homecoming, stealing alien technology, stealing like advanced weaponry, essentially. And people are going to like I don't know. I understand that there are like contextually it makes sense to look at it on its own, but I think that it's being a little like weirdly critical to talk about how interested the Punisher is in firearms. I don't know.
The Punisher, like, yes, okay, the Punisher likes guns. What the fuck? What do you want?
And like, there were other comments like there was a line from Frank Castle that said he was talking to Micro about how Micro had the gun that he wasn't cleaning or taking care of and stuff because he didn't actually intend to use it. And his response was like, well, I mean, he was saying something like walk the dog or whatever, but it was basically suggesting that like this is a thing that stands between life and death for people that I knew and myself. And like this not only could stop you from getting killed, but others around you from getting killed. But
and they probably took it out of context, saying, "Is you saying you should kill people if you own a gun? Nah, just fucking shoot."
The thing is about it, like the thing about it is, you have to look at Frank Castle for who he is. He's a soldier, of course.
He's an ex-Marine.
He is someone who is talking about his actual experience and the experiences that they're about to be in because they're like actually fighting right now. So
it's not like he's saying in that context he was not saying that everybody should own a gun because blah 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 blah. Blah. He was saying we're going to go and people are going to shoot at us. So
and the other weird thing is like they even have kind of a pistache of like a gun-toting, Bible dude. Like, and he was played as a negative character, so like they obviously were aware of the fact that I don't know, like the politics surrounding guns is not clear cut, but I don't know. Like just that complaint just really annoys the crap out of me. Like really again, that's I don't know.
It's the same thing as like last year with like fucking Ghostbusters. It's like I don't want to go see this movie. It doesn't look fucking funny. It looks like it's gonna be trash. Oh, are you sexist? No, I don't want to go fucking see a movie that looks like goddamn garbage.
Right.
Like, it's one of those things where it's like, I really like Punisher because it was good. Oh, it's fucking you like murdering people?
Oh,
the fuck! Oh, Dalsson died again.
Yeah.
Shoot. But yeah, it's this really politicized like fucking critique. I mean,
I don't know. That was not the only issue that I saw though.
Yeah.
The other issue was that some people were having was that it was very slow paced at times. So I can forgive that a little bit more as a complaint just because I feel like Oh, Dalsson back.
Okay,
Yes, I'm
back.
sorry. Yes, I'm
Mute
sorry.
yourself on Skype.
Everything is
Mute yourself on Skype.
awful. Okay.
Yeah.
Stepped on your router cord when you walked by, didn't you?
Yeah.
Um.
One of the things that like you were saying with the slow pace.
Oh yeah.
Is one of the complaints that I did see. There is a subplot that just doesn't go fucking anywhere. The subplot with the two cops. It could have been taken out completely, and the story probably wouldn't have been affected at all.
I have not. Okay, to one thing is I have not completely finished the series yet.
And I wasn't about to spoil it.
Yeah, no, I wasn't suggesting you were, but I just want to put into context that I've only seen like 8 episodes at this point, 9 episodes maybe?
Something. So you're getting close.
Yeah, I'm in the last chunk of it, but I have not finished it yet because Thanksgiving and just been busy this week.
All kinds of stuff.
I have finished it, and Dalsson has also finished it. But yeah, there is this subplot with these two cops that kind of doesn't really do anything.
I don't know. I kind of liked it.
Doesn't have. It doesn't have like this big. It doesn't have like any real payoff. I feel. Excuse me. If we were going to chunk it down, you probably could have removed that aspect of it. I mean, this cop is like in with a bunch of the characters, but that doesn't really affect.
I think I liked it because it kind of contextualized the law enforcement side of what was happening, and I thought that was interesting because I felt like if they hadn't been there, then you would have been kind of watching this whole series wondering what the police were even doing, what people were even thinking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas at least because they existed, they did make it seem like, oh well, they're trying to do things or directly covering up for Frank Castle at times. So, you know, maybe I can kind of understand that more. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just me making excuses for it, but I don't know. I thought that was fine.
Yeah. It's and like this isn't even like this is like a minor thing. This is like a subplot. It's like how people said like Westworld is shit because of the Maeve plot. It's like, no, it fucking wasn't. Everything else was good. The Maeve plot was just kind of
right.
It's one of those things where it's like overall good stuff. Everything else good stuff. Tiny little blemish can be shoved away. Not that big of a deal or even that important.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
I think that like. Sorry, I got distracted because Dalsson won't stop playing with bottle caps over there.
Trying to get rid of them.
So I wanted to just step back a little bit and first of all, I think we all liked the show.
Oh for sure.
It's probably one of my favorite of the Netflix superhero shows. I think my top like 3 in no particular order are now The Punisher, Jessica Jones, and the first season of Daredevil.
Yeah.
And to a lesser extent, the first half of the second season of Daredevil. But
with Punisher in it,
yeah. I thought it was phenomenal. Like, and I like that. And I was saying this kind of, I had been saying this for a long time about just the superhero movies, that each one has a different take on a different kind of movie, but with superheroes. And I feel like this is like also doing a very good job of tackling themes with different characters. With Jessica Jones, it was very much about like PTSD related to sexual assault. With Punisher, or with I don't know, with Luke Cage, it was very much about, you know, how do you live as a black man in a black community where a lot of people feel like the police are against you. It with I mean, Iron Fist didn't do it very successfully, but it's about like, what do you do when you're like a fish out of water? Like, each one has kind of different themes about how you interact with the world, and The Punisher does a great job of focusing on the PTSD of coming back from being a soldier and trying to live a normal life after having experienced some horrible like tragedies in your life. This is actually one of the main character flaws of Punisher, is that he can't stop being a soldier as much as and even like at the start of the series, he's trying to kind of step away from being a soldier, but for him, it's just he can't escape his violent nature, and he's haunted by the things that happen to him. There are other characters in the same series that are haunted in different ways with I don't know, the experiences of wartime.
Experiences, injuries, all that kinds of things.
Right.
Yeah.
And just how different characters, who are all veterans essentially, how different characters have all dealt with those issues. Also, I've not got, like, obviously, I already said this, but I haven't finished it, but this has one of the stronger villains in some of the shows.
I really liked him.
One, because there's a minor villain, and then there's the...
I would say the minor one. Not the big bad, but the one that...
The blonde-haired kid?
No.
Or the... No,
he
okay.
He wasn't...
The person
the
that
guy
you are
who's
talking about...
The guy who's a twist, I would say.
The guy who you're talking about, Saine, is sort of the big bad.
Oh, he does end up being the big bad? It seems like it could have gone a couple different directions.
Yeah, and I know exactly who you're talking about.
It is kind of
yeah. And the weird part is, like, saying the last 2 episodes of this show are the best. Like,
really,
they're
phenomenal,
fucking incredible.
They're also really gory.
I mean, that's fine.
But that's
absolutely, and that's
like punishing for you.
Well, yeah, not only that, but it's like it's some good shit.
Also,
as far as like the violence goes.
Also, this show not afraid to kill characters. Like,
oh no, not
very,
at all.
Like very surprisingly so. Like I was not there. I mean, I haven't finished it, but there was one death in particular that I really did not see coming.
Yeah.
I thought it to the point that I am at. I thought it's been consistently good. I did not have a problem with its early slow pacing. I think that maybe what's happening for a lot of critics is they have to watch the whole series in like 2 or 3 days because of I think a lot of news outlets right now want to review the series because the series all comes out at once.
Well, and here's the thing. Like, I watched this in about, like, that span. Like, I took a break in between days, but me and Dalsson watched it in, like, this huge
No, I know, but I feel like we're a little bit more...
We're a little bit more laissez-faire about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think when it's like your job...
You need to get,
it's like your job as a movie critic who's writing, like, columns and stuff, and suddenly they go... Oh no, you're not reviewing the first episode of this series, you're reviewing this whole series because in the past there have been other series that should have been kind of taken as a whole, so you kind of can't do that with Netflix now. I think because of all of that... Well, yes, but I think that what really happened was, for a lot of news outlets, was actually BoJack Horseman. First season of BoJack Horseman totally changed the mind of a lot of critics about how they should treat Netflix properties. And I think as a result, people are like going from reviewing 1 episode to having to review 13 episodes, and maybe for them that transition is difficult. Whereas I feel like for us, I mean, last night we watched a show for like, what?
It had to have
6 hours or something, like straight.
Yeah.
So I think we're a little bit more used to doing that. So I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah,
and I will say this before we move on. Like Saine said, this is one of his favorite Netflix series, and this is one of mine too. Specifically because my chief complaint with most of the like superhero Netflix stuff that has come out was, all right, it's really, really serious. It's about like the city and everything in the very first like half of the season, and either put someone in a fucking Power Rangers outfit or a goddamn sends ninjas after them. It's like, okay, we're gonna have this really serious, like, ground level show about, like, crime and all this inequality in the city, and then, no, it's just superhero bullshit. And it's like, Defenders was fine because it was all that. It was just like, the Defenders need to fight the fucking ninjas. That's all it was.
I mean, I guess for me,
the baseline.
I guess for me, coming from comic books, like I kind of recognized that. Oh yeah, of course, Dunisher I don't know.
Dunisher.
Yeah, I don't know.
Daredevil?
Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but Daredevil.
Punisher.
Of course, Daredevil was going to focus on the hand eventually.
Yeah.
Like, I knew that, like Luke Cage. I didn't know that's where Luke Cage was going, and I had different I had problems with how Luke Cage was executed. But eventually, like, of course, Luke Cage was gonna fight other people who had powers, right?
But
so
Luke Cage was like actually really, really bad about that.
Yeah,
it just showed
that
up.
one. That's the one in particular I think you're talking about. When you say that problem.
I definitely did have problems with the hand in the second season of.
But I feel like that was again just execution. I feel like they could have done the hand better without.
Yeah.
It felt
really
like
boring.
It felt
especially
like
compared to like the Punisher stuff.
It felt like Daredevil season 2 should have been half the length it was, and then had another season kind of about the hand that introduced them kind of separately and had them as an undercurrent, rather than like that way you could talk about, like, you could further explore like his relationship with Elektra and stuff without having it kind of mixed in with this other stuff that you care about more. I don't know.
Interesting stuff, yeah.
I just feel like the way they executed season 2 of Daredevil was just bad again. But I don't think necessarily that the inclusion of ninjas or whatever is a bad thing for Daredevil. But I think in Punisher, even in his comic books, he mostly fights like mobsters. Like he doesn't have like superhero bad guys.
Aside
from
like
maybe
not
Kingpin,
superhuman.
Yeah, and that's
Kingpin kind of is
is
a
super villain.
King
is
just a monster.
Strong.
So
and I mean, like
really
he has superhuman strength. That's about it.
He does not.
He doesn't.
No, he doesn't. He has regular human strength.
He has he's on the upper limits of human strength, but he is not.
Really, he's just fucking regular. Strong.
He is a man who is really smart. Is mostly what it is.
Yeah,
and really strong. Okay.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. Punisher...
Well, I mean, when you're really smart, you think, maybe I'm really smart. Maybe I should do things that are positive influences on my health, like work out. Like, really, that's what it is for him.
That makes sense.
So,
well, yeah, and that's the thing about like Punisher. I would even like make like little jokes even in Daredevil season 1. Oh, he's gotta get the costume. Here he is, a superhero. I didn't do any of that. This felt like a show about fucking Jason Bourne.
The funny thing about Punisher was in most other shows they get their costume towards the end of the show or whatever. This one he burns it in episode 1.
Yeah, he gets it back. And by gets it back, I mean he's wearing
so at some point he fucking paints a skull on his
that's literally
deal.
Exactly what it is. He fucking spray paints a goddamn skull on his vest.
No, Thel says he wasn't making jokes about it, but I was joking about it. Like, as non-specific as I can, there's a point in time where he has to wait at a location for a thing, and like in the next scene, like he's wearing gear, and in the next scene there's a big skull on it, and I'm like, was that what he was doing while he was just waiting there for an hour? He was like, guess I'll do a little arts and crafts project here and paint a skull on my flak jacket. That
reminds me of my kid, but god damn it.
So actually kind of thinking back, the only one who has a costume at all is Daredevil. And actually I think they do a good job of like explaining why he has it too. But
Luke Cage's costume is like a yellow hoodie.
Yeah. Daredevil has his whole costume. Luke Cage has his hoodie. Iron Fist has his glowing fists, and Jessica Jones has a bottle of alcohol.
Iron Fist does have a outfit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, right. No, he does.
No, he's never worn it in the show though.
In the show, yeah, but he definitely does have a costume.
Yeah, he does have a costume. And Jessica Jones explicitly doesn't have a costume.
Yeah,
she kind of does. She kind of does, but like.
Oh no, yeah, that's right.
As they've updated heroes to the modern day, she is not worn it.
I remember
she stopped wearing it, but
her celebrity friend was like, "Here, look at this costume. Isn't it great? You can wear it and be a superhero." And she's like, "There's no fucking way I'm wearing that." And that was her costume from the comic books. That was good. I remember that joke.
Yeah.
Well, in the early days of her comics, because even in the modern iterations of her character, she doesn't wear
She doesn't wear the
a costume at all. So
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I forgot about that joke.
and actually, Luke
kind of has a
Cage's costume is what he broke out of the. Remember that the part in Luke Cage where he breaks out of the like prison with the chemical stuff, and he has that like headband and a ripped shirt and stuff.
Yeah.
They kind of pay homage to that in that episode, but that's not his costume. In the early days of Luke Cage, that was his costume. But again, in modern iterations of Luke Cage, he just wears a hoodie. So like,
yeah.
I
Whereas
don't
like
know.
the bigger A and B list superheroes still wear their.
I feel like Punisher, if you didn't know better, could just be outside of a superhero show. It is essentially a crime drama.
Yeah, it's really
one thing that a lot. Well, actually, speaking of that, one thing that a lot of people who are really into comic books that I've talked to have said about this is that they were expecting it to be more about like crime when it was like this big governmental conspiracy thing. It was very political, but not like that. It was about specifically like government agents trafficking heroin in like in
Iraq or Afghanistan.
Yeah, to fund weird project. Yeah, it was weird.
It was basically about government cover-ups and, wet work and black op stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Try to blow away from the camera, dude.
I was trying.
Anyway.
It floats up.
Yes. That
they all float down.
It is about that, and probably next season we're going to get more street level crime stuff. Like,
they kind of already did him fighting street level crime in Daredevil. Like he was just going after a bunch of gang members and killing them all.
Well, actually, he started at the street level of that problem, and then found out that the problem went deeper than he thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
But ultimately, this is those two of like sections were connected. It's not as if he was doing the first crimes or the first murder spree for a different reason than the second. But
yeah, absolutely.
I would not be surprised if season 2 is about Punisher versus Kingpin.
Yeah,
because
season 3, Punisher versus the Marvel Universe.
And Kingpin is like my favorite character in all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and of course my favorite villain.
Well, Kingpin makes sense because at the end of Daredevil, he releases Kingpin.
Yeah.
Or Kingpin helps Frank escape or whatever.
Yeah.
And but the thing is, like, Punisher has always been a character who is pragmatic to an extent, but generally hates criminals of all kinds first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, he will not ally himself with criminals, like, other than for maybe extremely short-term gains, in that, I will not kill you right now, is basically the amount of bartering you can kind of do with Punisher. So I think that in the back of his head, I mean, of course, like they had this period of time where he like retired, but I think the show is definitely leading into him being unable to escape him just constantly murdering villains or criminals, like, because that's just what he does.
That's Punisher.
So I think in the back of his head, he'll eventually kind of think about Kingpin again and be like, that guy is a criminal, I should kill him. Right now he's in prison still, but when he's released, like, and Punisher like finds evidence that Kingpin still is doing crime, he's going to eventually go after he's gonna eventually go after Kingpin, which would be another like a good way to do like Punisher versus crime again. So
you're done, Kingpin. I'm the Dunisher.
You know what's kind of funny? There's an alternate version of Punisher in the Spider-Gwen comic books.
Oh boy.
And the Spider-Gwen comic books are funny because they take a bunch of normal characters and change how they work. Like, for instance, Daredevil is a henchman of Kingpin in the the Spider-Gwen universe, which is weird, right?
Yeah.
In her universe, Punisher is not a like criminal vigilante. He's the chief of police.
Oh, all right.
Cool.
That isn't to say that he doesn't straight murder people, but
Okay, yeah. There's too much franking crime in my city. Someone has to do something. I guess it's gonna have to be me.
Chief, you're too old. You're like 28.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. So I like the Punisher. I thought was really great. It's definitely one of my favorite of the
I would like to
the
say
Netflix universe, if anything.
They picked like the perfect actor for Punisher too. He looks like Punisher. He sounds like you would expect Punisher to sound.
He doesn't look that like Punisher.
Yeah,
from the comic book.
Yeah.
I think the difference for me is Punisher has kind of a squarer head in the comics.
Yeah.
And this guy has kind of a round.
What?
He has a kind of round head though. Like the way that his head connects to his shoulders looks lankier.
He doesn't look as much of like a brick as like comic book Punisher does.
Yeah, he looks lankier.
I see his chin is kind of like goes down instead of just.
Yeah. That's not to say. No, I think it's good casting. I think he's a great actor for it.
Definitely
but
good
he
casting.
doesn't necessarily. He's not like Tony Stark levels of looks exactly like his actor.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, here's the thing. One of the what was it? That's one of the complaints I heard from a lot of comic book people, that these are just jack off assholes. Oh, he doesn't fucking look like Punisher. He doesn't fucking look. They cast him better.
I feel like he looks enough like Punisher.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He also like he's good at playing Punisher.
I also like the treatment they did to his history, because in the comic books he's actually a Vietnam veteran.
Right.
Yeah.
And they kind of modernized it.
Yeah, they do a good job of making him relevant as a modern interpretation of Punisher.
Right.
And they do a really good job of explaining why he's so fucking good at killing people. Like,
yeah, because he was Special Forces or Black Ops.
Well, yeah, he was like, I don't know, like the way that they talk about how his like unit went, like it just, I don't know. They did a really good job of making it more believable that he could just be this murder machine. Yeah, whereas I think that was kind of a minor complaint I had with. Well, I wouldn't say that's a complaint, because I was sort of expecting it out of the Punisher, but like that is something that was kind of like, how is he so good at killing people just by himself in Daredevil season 2? Like he just I don't know. They did a good job of retroactively explaining it, other than he was in Afghanistan. You know what I mean?
He was in a war.
And and as far as like the Vietnam stuff, that's more of just a it's a sign of the times sort of deal, just because of the fact that it's like,
because if you still said he was a Vietnam veteran, he'd be like,
oh, he'd be super old. Yeah,
yeah, and that's the same thing with Tony Stark. Like he was kidnapped in Vietnam, and that's how he became Iron Man. But
yeah, so they just updated it to the most recent war. So I thought it was fine.
Yeah, of course. Oh yeah, there's absolutely no problem with that. They gotta do that.
Well, unless they had it set a long time ago, which is also possible, but that's kind of what they did to Ant-Man, actually.
And that's also kind of what they did, and it's absolutely what they did to Captain America. But that's not the first time they've done that to Captain America. He was always like World War II.
No, that's the modern that's the comic book interpretation of what happened to Captain America. He was frozen.
And that was even in like
Captain America. You don't really have to update him because he's frozen. You can just keep making.
They actually
just keep fucking unthawing Captain America.
They even retconned why there was comic books coming out about Captain America from post World War II. That was actually a different person. That because Captain America disappeared in World War II, they replaced him with an actual like actor figurehead.
Oh,
just to be like in comic books. They actually had like retconned why those comic books exist. So there's a stretch of Captain America comic books that are not actually Steve Rogers.
That's funny. That's pretty cool.
So Captain America is like the one exception, and now because he's a super soldier, he's also basically immortal too.
Mhm.
Also the same way Nick Fury is, but Nick Fury is a
Mhm.
little bit different because his super soldier serum is slightly different.
Mhm.
No, yeah, I love the Punisher. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was
I want
great.
more
I
of
also
that.
thought it was great.
I want more
I've
of
always
that.
liked Punisher. I knew Thel would like it because the like when we were watching Daredevil, as soon as it was like split second, as soon as it was revealed Daredevil actually had superpowers and wasn't just really good, Thel was like, oh, and I was like, what do you want? He's a superhero. He's had superpowers.
Yeah.
Like
Frank
nobody's
doesn't
going,
have
no
superpowers.
no
He's just
blind man is going
good.
to be that good at shit that isn't like yeah, your senses get
Stick
better,
not?
but
Why is Stick
you know,
superpowered?
Stick's also superpowered.
Oh.
Well,
He
he's a ninja.
he has like yeah,
He's a member. He was a member of the Hand.
and
Well,
hand
yeah,
moves,
but like that's just
yeah.
that's like-
Didn't he train in fucking whatever place Iron Fist?
Come
No.
Oh, shit.
Oh
No.
yeah, no. I don't think he trained in Kunlun.
Yeah. I don't know much about Stick, but
No, I watched Iron Fist. Ugh.
Mm,
No,
I'm sorry. Anyway, but yeah, I knew Thel would like Punisher mostly because Punisher is just a normal guy, and he always has been.
Yeah, he's just good with fucking guns.
Yeah, but Thel, I think maybe that Thel has some predisposition about liking characters that are like really rounded, but at the same time, I mean, Thel's obviously not like against superheroes because he liked Luke Cage for most of it. At least Jessica Jones's treatment in Defenders he liked, so it's not as if he just doesn't like superheroes, but I think that maybe in the case of Daredevil he thought that his capabilities were like trivialized a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, like I felt like it was more of a because they did like all those huge montages of him like training with Stick and being able to like learn how to use his blindness to his advantage, and I felt like, oh, okay, it's just because he's blind, his senses. It's like, you know, it's like, oh, okay, that's a little bit going over the top, but he trained for years to be able to do this. But it was a chemical spill, and he was.
Well, no, I mean the thing about Daredevil is like, yes, his only superpower is super hearing. So
yeah,
like,
it's not like
so
he has, like,
he still needs to train to be able to fight. Like,
yeah.
All right. So his only
yeah. Daredevil
like,
doesn't have like superhuman reflexes or anything. He's just can hear really well.
Yeah, really. That if you, I didn't realize you might not have known this, but yeah, Daredevil's only actual power is having superhero or super hearing and echolocation and that sort of thing. Like he's not.
And echolocation is something that a human being can like learn.
Yeah.
He's not He's not super strong or super durable or anything. He is just really good at hearing things.
Yeah, okay.
And was trained by ninjas. Like that's really.
What I thought it was I thought it was like he had like spidey senses or something.
No,
not
at all.
Super, like it's just.
No. He does not have like spidey sense.
He has
ridiculous.
He has things that kind of do the same things with spidey sense, too. Be like, for instance, Daredevil masks don't work on Daredevil because he can see everyone's facial shape and whatever. So he totally knows all secret identities basically automatically. I don't know, like he can hear things from all directions to like super well, so he can basically operate as if he could see, but he can't actually see.
Yeah, essentially he can make a picture of everything around him in his brain because of how he can hear things.
Yeah, but no, he's straight up like he actually is only just super hearing. That's all his only actual power.
All right. I just and it's like it knows everyone's like secret identity. I'm just imagining like Tony Stark, or like if he was in DC, Bruce Wayne. It's like
actually, Tony Stark might be a problem because he does have a helmet, like a metal helmet, so maybe that wouldn't transfer. But
like Bruce Wayne,
but everybody knows Tony Stark.
Iron Man. Yeah. Then I always remember like the line that I remember most from probably that I remember most from like the comic book Civil War is just like when Tony Stark is talking to Spider-Man. It's like, I don't know if I want to do this, Tony. I mean, you've revealed your identity before. What's it like? I've revealed my identity like 20 times and erased everyone's memory with fucking satellite lasers.
No, actually, Tony Stark's funny because he has revealed his secret identity multiple times, but a lot of times he'll say that someone else is Iron Man.
Yeah.
But he's actually Iron Man. Like, so, like I don't know.
And that's one of the things I found like really funny in the actual Iron Man movie, like how he reveals it. I was like, ah. But
he has the cue cards and he's like, you know what, screw it, I'm Iron Man.
Fucking Iron Man, yeah.
Yeah, like they wanted him to cover it up, and he's like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah, but like I'm imagining, right? Like Punisher meets fucking Batman. He exists in the DC universe. He's constantly hearing all of this stuff. Bruce Wayne did this. Bruce Wayne philanthropist. Bruce Wayne this. Bruce Wayne this. He actually meets up with Batman. He's able to take his face shape. I don't know who the fuck this is.
Yeah,
I only heard about Bruce Wayne on TV.
It's like that.
I don't know. He is a famous lawyer. He might be invited to a Bruce Wayne party.
Yeah, no, just he does that like after fucking.
And
like,
Bruce Wayne is a
reminds me of that
philanthropist. Bruce Wayne is a philanthropist who notably likes other people who he considers are doing good things for his city.
Yeah.
So someone who is like volunteering to help like people who don't have like do a lot of pro bono work and stuff. Like that is someone who Bruce Wayne would probably like. So
no, and I imagine he just like invites Daredevil to like a party. It's like, hi, there you are. Holy shit, Batman, what are you doing here? Master Wayne. Oh, there you go. Holy fuck! Oh shit!
Yeah. That's funny.
It reminds me. It was that scene. I'm reminded of that scene in the Justice League animated where Lex Luthor and Flash switch bodies.
He's
Flash bodies. He's like, yes, finally, at least the one good thing is I can learn who the Flash is, his secret identity. And he takes off the mask and looks in the mirror. And he's like, who is this?
I have no idea who this is. It's great because it's so deadpan. He's just like, I don't know who this is.
Yeah, he's like, well, this was useless.
Yeah, and I think it was like the same thing in like the actual legitimate Civil War when Spider-Man like stood up, took off his mask. It was like, who? Peter Parker in a high school.
No, actually, everybody knew. Everyone knew who Peter Parker was at that point. And
actually, at that point, yeah.
He was in college too. No, it was post-college.
Yeah.
He was already out of college, but he was a famous photographer.
Yeah.
Who worked for the newspaper company he was revealing his identity at. So at least, if no one else, everyone in the room knew.
Yeah.
And he was he did research papers, so he was a scholar too, a published scholar too. So Peter Parker was at least notable enough that some people would know who he is.
Yeah,
I do remember that.
Whereas, like, was it Wally West in DC animated?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Like he was.
Wally West, I don't think is notable at all.
Yeah.
I don't think he's not a CSI.
That's it.
Barry Allen is a forensic investigator. I don't think Wally West.
I'm pretty sure
whoever Wally West was like a janitor or something.
I don't think Wally West had a job.
He was a CSI in Justice League Animated. I remember that for sure because there's an episode about him where he has to like literally just run back and forth between being a superhero and investigating a crime scene or something. I know Barry Allen's a CSI, but I'm pretty sure that at least the Justice League Animated Wally West.
No, he's a mechanic.
He's a mechanic? Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Also, he's had a run as a mail courier. He's actually been a product tester.
That sounds like Barry Allen or Wally West.
That's the best way to do it. What's your secret identity? I work at the garage down on 4th Street. That's my fucking my alter ego is the fucking Deathman, though. Just so you know.
No, Deathman, huh? Wow.
Yeah, I fucking kill. Anyway, Punisher was good.
Yes, Punisher was good.
Great.
Yes. So yeah, we
That
want to
pretty
talk about
much
Star
just that
versus.
pretty much does describe Punisher, huh? My secret identity is Deathman, but I work at the mechanic shop over there.
Yeah, that's
That's
him.
Punisher.
That's him.
All right. I don't know. I'm not finding an easy place that lists his jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Even on his DC database page on Wikia.
weird.
Shoot.
Kind of strange.
Huh. Oh well, it doesn't matter. I thought he was working with the crime scene investigation in Justice League Animated. Can't really remember.
Oh, actually, at one point it says he's unemployed because if he finds it very difficult to be the Flash and have a job.
How? The Flash can literally be in two places at once.
I mean, not quite.
Hey man, sometimes it be like that, you know.
Okay.
I mean, you know, being a superhero stuff. Anyway, let's move on to Star versus.
So, oh my god.
We got through season 2 yesterday and
Yes.
watched like the first episode of season 1.
Yes.
Star versus is still on that incline of gets better and better and better as it goes.
Yeah.
One of the things it's doing that I really like is it's doing that sort of Venture Bros thing where it's like, all right, you know this minor character that was
Wait,
almost
hang
like
on,
a
no.
joke. Oh yeah.
Flashgen is in the chat, and of course he knows. Justice League animated Flash is a combination of Wally West and Barry Allen. His job does come from Barry, so he is a CSI in Justice League animated.
Yeah, actually, I was
But he's
reading
Wally
it. I was
West.
reading it, and like you have to remember that Wally West was Kid Flash, so he's
Yeah.
been He's been a form of the Flash since adolescence. So he's never
Yeah.
got. I don't think he's ever really gotten a job. Like he just
Yeah.
never had to.
Yeah, fair.
There's actually episodes in the animated series where he's like doing sponsorship deals and stuff.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, Thel. Go on.
But yeah, okay. Venture Brothers does the Star versus does the Venture Brothers thing of there's like this minor character who's almost a joke in like the first season or it was in a couple of episodes.
Yeah.
And then later on in the series they become an integral character to the plot who is very well developed and has a lot going on. And I love it when shows do that.
Who are we talking about specifically?
Ludo?
I was talking about Buff Frog.
A frog.
But Ludo is also one of them, even though he's like, you know...
he's always set up as one of the principal antagonists.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah, I was thinking you were talking about, like, the Monarch. Like,
Yeah,
yes,
no.
he's the principal antagonist of the Venture Bros, but he's still a joke, and then later on he gets a lot
and
more.
another thing, the Monarch, Henchman 20, I think... I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure
you're
it's
talking about the
21,
Henchman.
Yeah. Henchman 21 becomes like this super fucking important character that has his like I think it's in like season 5 he has his own like plot line all to himself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing with like Buff Frog in this. It's Ludo starts as a very very sort of one-dimensional. It's like I used to make jokes about like Star versus the forces of evil. This guy keeps coming back and it ruins the slice of life stuff that she's doing. He just sort of shows up sometimes and she has to beat him up and tell him to fuck off every once in a while.
Yeah.
And then like
I'm gonna pay you 100 narwhals to fuck off.
yeah. And as season 2 progresses, he becomes like the best character in the fucking show.
Who, Buff Frog or Ludo?
Ludo. It's great to watch him grow after he becomes punished Ludo.
Ludo.
his character progression is really interesting.
Yeah.
You never end up liking him more, really, but if
but
anything, you feel worse for him as time goes on. But
Yeah.
He gets more and more depressing as time.
do you know what I love about like how the show frames episodes? Like
Yeah.
at the beginning of any episode that it features Ludo or heavy plot elements, they have those fucking rats running around.
Yeah.
It happens like every time. So when you start seeing rats at all, you're like, yes, fucking yes.
Yeah.
Fucking come.
Yeah.
It's kind of
fuck
funny.
Yeah, and that's what was it?
There was an episode where they did a clown seance.
Oh yeah,
And,
the
like,
clown
they were
seance was
finishing
great.
up the seance and a rat ran by, and I was like, wait a second, no, this can't be happening. Because the whole episode was just about, like, slice of life bullshit, and then at the end, it really got story like plotline heavy.
Yeah, and even like the slice of life stuff, like the Jackie was a character that sort of showed up like a couple times during season 2 and was like the creepy weird kid.
Are you talking about Jana?
Jana, sorry, yeah. Who's Jackie?
Jackie is his girlfriend.
Marco's
Jana
girlfriend.
is.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Jackie too was also just blank love interest woman.
Well, I think that may have been a reaction to how much people hated Fernando and Ferguson from season 1. So I think they just totally wrote it out, and they actually like call attention to it towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
They're like, you guys are always in the background, just being there.
Yeah, Star's like, I haven't talked to you in like a year, but
yeah. But yeah, and those two characters specifically do come back, and it seems like they're probably going to be even more integral to the plot. They had like Star's mom, who was just
Jana and Jackie, to be clear.
Yeah, Jana and Jackie, to be clear. You had also Star's mom, who was just sort of like a queen lady who wanted Star to be proper and centered Earth, and was like the reason for that, and then became this huge character. Star's
cool
dad
one,
was
too.
also that. Yeah. And Star's dad and Star's mom are great foils to each other.
There's also like this. One of my favorite characters that shows up like twice is Warrior Princess Carolyn.
Yeah, Warrior
the
Princess
purple-haired Sailor Moon analog. Like, she shows up once and Star's like, she's the greatest warrior who ever lived, and she's just totally fucking nuts. But then, like, later on in, like, a flashback scene or something, it turns out she was still fucking nuts, but she really is just the greatest warrior that ever lived. She's just always been nuts like that.
Yeah. And one of the things that I do feel like, the thing is with Venture Brothers, right? All of the stuff, like all of the character development, none of this shit is planned beforehand. The thing is, the creator... oh, excuse me. The thing is, the creators just have, like, really good memory. So they'll, like, remember this character that was in, like, 2 shots, and we're like, what if we did this with this guy? And just, like, built him up and made him this great character and made this whole plot around him. And they do it in such a really, a way that really works. Whereas, like, a lot of the stuff with Star Versus feels like a lot of this stuff was set up. They just didn't know if they were going to get another season or not.
I don't know. I feel like they changed direction a lot coming out of season 1. And actually, season 2 was greenlit. Season 2 was actually greenlit before season 1 was aired. So they actually had a lot of confidence in Star Versus. So, I remember that because I was. That's like a sign of a good show when you hear that, and you're like, oh crap, then I definitely have to see this show.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I thought that they changed the direction a lot of things coming out of season 1, probably as somewhat of a reaction to season 1. So I think, like, for instance, I think they totally changed how they were planning on using Queen Moon and the King. Yeah. Like, I think they totally, like, totally changed that. Like, to the extent that, if you look at Queen Moon in some of the early episodes and the intro, she looks fatter. Like, she doesn't have the same build.
She has a rounder face.
Yeah.
And, like I said, they wrote Ferguson and that other guy out, Fernando. I think his name's Fernando. I don't remember. And then replaced them with 2 characters who were more popular, Jana and
Jackie.
Girlfriend, Jackie. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, and I feel like they've really been building up to Jana being a more integral character down the line. Because she's one of the few characters that Star still contacts on Earth. Like the episodes when she's talking about having all of her friends come over, like, all of them are, like, interplanetary friends, and then also Jana. Like,
who, I mean, fits in with the crowd really well.
Yeah, Jana's, like, super into, like, magic and occult shit. So,
I mean, like, who the fuck isn't, though?
They drop clues in season 1. When they're running off doing other stuff, Jana is feeding pudding to Glossaric. So I feel like they're kind of leaving crumbs about Jana ends up becoming, like, a witch as time goes on, I think.
Yeah.
because she's just
Yeah.
finding all these pieces of occult stuff and kind of
And
putting it
actually,
together,
like-
and eventually I think she's going to become like an actual character, like a
Right.
Yeah. A plot character,
Yeah.
character. Yeah.
that's a suspicion, but I think that might be where it's going.
Yeah, I could see it. Yeah.
She's
There's
also,
also, like-
notably one of the only Earth characters that are still in. I think her and Jackie are the only two Earth characters in the lineup of characters at the start of the season 2 opening.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think it's like Tom, Jana, the one friend that's two people, Tad and what's her face?
Oh yeah, yeah. Tad and
Yeah, so there's like a few characters, and I think all.
there's the goblin that sold goblin dogs. He's in that lineup.
No, not that lineup. The new one. The lineup changes when the intro changes.
Okay. Oh, okay. At the beginning of season 3.
Yes, right.
Yeah, you said season 2.
Right. I always get confused about where that actually starts, but yeah, season.
Yeah, yeah. Because it
It changes really. I think it changes really early in season 3.
Kind of just goes straight into it. It's weird. But yeah, okay. Star Versus is great. I really like Star Versus. It's hard to talk about though because of how like at season 1,
minor plot things become major plot things, so it's hard to talk about minor plot things.
Yeah, exactly.
But all of the characters' development has been really good. They've taken a bunch of characters
sure.
who are either stereotypes or very two-dimensional and made them all
Yeah.
or a majority of them like very well developed characters, notably Buff Frog and Ludo and Queen Moon. So
Yeah. Even Star's dad, like, he's just kind of some hilarious like fucking weirdo, but he's all I don't know. Like it's
like
weird
he's like a dwarf man.
Yeah, he becomes this weird dwarf thing. Yeah. Whereas like when it gets framed, like he's this regal kingly man, and then he.
That's why I think that changes direction with that character, because he doesn't actually become a weird dwarf man until season 2.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, there was that one in season 1 where he goes on a vacation with them. Was that in season 2?
That was in season 1, but they don't lay out the hand like they.
Oh wait, no. The vacation was in season 2. The one that I was going to talk about was the party one where he comes to live with them on Earth and babysits.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
Party.
Yeah, but I think that was.
No, there was one where they go.
Episode because the framing.
There was also one where they go to Muni briefly and do a hunt thing.
Yeah, I
Oh
remember.
yeah, I actually do remember that one.
He was doing that, and it was like this kingly, like the hunt. Yes, it's quite classy, and
Yeah.
and he's going a little bit crazy.
He's like
with it,
sneaking off to fight monsters or something.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that is one, and I do really like the way that they dealt with those two particular character dynamics, because like Star is very silly and very crazy, and like she gets that from her dad, but she also has a very, very strict moral compass that she gets from her mom.
Yeah.
And she's focused and intense too at times.
Yeah.
It's funny you should say that, because we're getting into the episodes that might change your opinion on that.
Oh, okay. But
on what? Where she?
How she relates to her mom.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I fell off the Star wagon like when it was first airing. I watched like the first couple of episodes. Like it was like all that was out at that time, and I was like, yeah, okay, this is
Most of season 1 is just straight up skippable. There are very specific episodes that do get fleshed out, but there's a lot of them that are just like, I don't really need to watch this episode.
Yeah.
And then
I would
2 comes, and it's incredible.
Like, I would say that if you're interested in the show, you should probably watch season 1.
Yeah.
I think you could probably make a list of episodes that are completely pointless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be more than half of the first season, and the first season's only like 12 episodes anyway. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, unlike BoJack,
But,
where
like-
it's like it has like this kind of rough beginning the first season, then it immediately jumps up in quality, and then just has this, constant. It's like it stays here of
It's like
quality, and then it
stairs.
jumps up again, and then this is just a line of gets better.
Yeah. Like the longer you watch it, the better it gets.
Season 3 though, there's a part, and it's a little hard to tell because since I've caught up, I've been watching them as they go, so it's a little bit harder to like judge that based on the whole. But after the Battle for Muni episodes, to the first like 6 or so,
jeez,
it goes into Filler Town again.
Oh no.
I mean, I
don't know. But then again, like I don't know how much of it is filler, and I don't know how much of it is like bringing the pacing down a little bit so that it can build back up. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Yeah, even the filler episodes in this show are more fun than compared to Steven Universe. I like the filler episodes in this show more.
Yeah.
At least the filler episodes in this one are still like high magic fantasy stuff instead of like the mayor is.
And it's like I like that stuff in a lot of things, but I don't know. I feel like in Steven Universe, the execution of the filler episodes isn't super good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it depends. If nothing else, it's uneven, right?
Yeah.
There are some that are good, but there are some that are like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like I really liked the Sadie episode. That episode was probably almost entirely filler.
Yeah.
Unless they do something with Sadie's character, which is possible, but at this point in time, that was just filler. The stuff with Mayor Dewey, like, I don't care about.
Yeah.
He's funny, so I'll watch it, but I mean, that's
Yeah, and that's the thing with Steven Universe. It had also like this. It was kind of meh, and then it jumped up, and then it just ramped up, but then it sort of plateaued.
Yeah.
It's sort of been just on the same level and cruising, maybe going a little bit. Okay, well, we're good. It was a bump. But yeah, Starburst is just gotten better.
Straight up, yeah.
It's like Venture Brothers in that it just gets better and better and better somehow.
You know, in season 1 of Venture Brothers, I didn't really like it.
Oh fuck! Nobody likes season 1 of Venture Brothers
because it felt like very gross out humor and like dumb.
Yeah, it felt like that dumb Adult Swim sort of thing. But then like you get
That's
past
why
that.
I never gave Venture Brothers a chance, like for years.
Yeah,
I watched it anyway, and then as of like season 2 and season 3, it was just like, okay, now I like this show.
Yeah,
but I don't know. It took a little while for sure.
Yeah, it really did. And then like when you get to season 4, it's like, okay, this is the good shit.
Yeah.
Starburst, yeah. So I don't know, and even backing up a little bit, even the like filler episodes that are happening in season 2 or season 3 rather that I've seen that you guys haven't seen yet, it's also still like character development, and they talk about things that will relate to things in the future, and there's asides that are like, you kind of have to watch the whole episode for this little bit in this episode because this is an important bit, and you can tell it's an important bit, but it's like a bit in the rest of it. Like, okay, there's a part in one of the episodes. It's like in the middle of a filler episode where Star talks to a very important character that that will like, lead to stuff later, but like it's the small conversation, and then she goes off and does other stuff. So it's like you have to watch that whole episode for that little bit. And I like that they have little breadcrumbs of the plot sprinkled around through even the filler episodes, because it makes everything feel worth watching.
Exactly.
So, and that's something that Steven Universe just really does not do well.
Yeah. And that's most people's chief complaint about Steven Universe is.
I feel like that's only because of the release schedule of Steven Universe. Like,
I feel like that's entirely it, but I think that doesn't help for sure.
Yeah, I think that like definitely hurt. I feel like if anything, Cartoon Network has been bad to this show.
Yeah. Although Disney's release schedule for stuff is weird.
Yeah.
But at least you can find it all. I don't know. And I think that so Disney is working on their streaming service eventually down the line. Probably. I don't know if it's 2019, I think it might be.
Something.
But I think that encourages Disney to make more serialized shows rather than kind of individual episode shows.
Yeah.
So that you can have like longer plots and people can just binge it, right?
Yeah.
And if it's good enough quality, people will rewatch stuff. So if they build their catalog now of good shows that might not do as well on TV because they have long-running plots, but do really well on like a online service, like that is only good for them. You don't have to have Monster of the Week stuff on streaming services the same way you kind of might want to consider that on TV.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, not only that, but it's like you had stuff like Gravity Falls. It was great. It was really popular, and they might be like taking a page from that.
Even
Gravity
that
Falls
was hard.
did the same.
Even that had weird ass release schedules, and there were times where it was almost not airing at all. So like,
It did, but like Gravity Falls did the same thing you were talking about. Like a lot of the episode had these little breadcrumbs that led you to, and sometimes they were even like ending scenes that like
Right.
Stan did this thing that was spooky.
And it also feels
maybe
like
he's not what he was.
DuckTales is doing something like that too.
yeah, for sure.
Already. With a lot of the shows that they're like sending out now, it looks like Disney is taking a page from the fucking Gravity Falls.
But that's what I think. That's what I think is happening, is that because they're planning on making their own streaming services, they're just getting in front of the content now. And if they can build up buzz by having it air on TV in addition to whatever, so that people already know that they like that stuff, then they're going to be way more willing to jump into this Disney streaming service that comes out eventually if they have a great catalog of cartoons that even adults love. So
and like they're you know, they having that, like you were saying, having that air on TV is a great, like, even form of advertisement. It gets your stuff out, it gets people to look at your stuff. And it, like, if you want to put your stuff on a streaming service or like online in some capacity, and if people do it that way, then putting all of your stuff on like the TV channel that you have is a really, really, really good idea. Cartoon Network.
Yeah, Cartoon Network.
God damn it.
So I feel like Cartoon Network and Disney are thinking about the same thing. They're planning the same thing right now, ultimately. Yeah. I just think that Cartoon Network is blowing it, and Disney is killing it right now. So
the thing is, like, Disney is a very well-structured, well-thought-out community, like, corporate community thing that knows what they're doing. They know exactly what to do to maximize their profits.
What's really surprising about this to me is Disney was blowing it for the longest time.
Yeah,
it's only until like more recently, like with Gravity Falls, that they've been like starting to capitalize on like they seem focused. They seem like they have a plan and they know where they're going. Where for years and years they would have like a bunch of like, they barely invested in any like cartoon products for TV at all for years.
Well,
like for a while it was nothing but like Lizzie McGuire and stuff.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, but it seems like that's sort of a running theme with Disney as like a whole. It's like they're getting more they're getting properties, they're getting on the properties, and they are hammering out what they want to do. I think that is like has been the thing since Bob Iger.
Yeah, they're doing a great job at putting the people who need to be in charge places.
It's like they're actually thinking about, maybe if we make good shit that people enjoy, they'll be more.
Or if we make shit like this,
money.
Or not even just that. Just if we make shit like this, people will enjoy it enough that they will spend money on the next thing that we make. That we make like this again, and people will enjoy it and continue down the line, and it'll work.
You know, it's like
people start getting bored of that, we have this other thing.
It's like at one point Disney woke up and was like, "Oh yeah, we're super rich. We have the ability to play the long game. What the hell are we doing?" So
and
I don't know.
All you have to do is make stuff that's going to encourage a lot of people to spend money instead of make shit that's going to trick a few people into spending a lot of money. It's much better if you just get people to enjoy things and spend money on them.
And it's weird. Like out of all of the Hollywood studios, Disney is the one studio that it's like, I talk about all of how like Hollywood's fucking dying, how they're losing their connections with China, how like all of these studios are going under because all this stuff is coming out about all these people, and how they are all constantly making these cinematic universes and releasing these big movies they're spending a shit ton of money on, and having that fucking fall on their face. Meanwhile, Disney is just fucking it up.
Well, yeah,
making
the Disney Marvel
like
in a good way,
and just like basically looking like it's like Disney is the big evil corporation that's taking over everything. Meanwhile, all these other guys are trying to compete and just falling flat on their faces.
But that's because
so
they're
weird.
doing it poorly, and Disney is not.
Yeah, they're
well, yeah, it's like big surprise, make good content and people will want it. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
And it's crazy that the rest of the studios haven't come to the same very obvious conclusions that Disney has. Like the fucking Universal Dark Universe.
Disney is
rather than hiring a bunch of people who remember when Iron Man first came out, Robert Downey Jr. was in a bad place. He had just gotten out of being the big fucking joke of Hollywood meth man. Yeah. Like people and instead they cast fucking Tom Cruise, who they think will be a safe bet, but has been in a couple of stinkers. He was like, when they started making the movie, he was in a couple of good movies, and
to be fair, Robert Downey Jr. was a huge risk for them.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but they probably did get him cheap. So
yeah, Universal didn't take any risks. They didn't hire like a director who had a vision of what he wanted to do with the Mummy. They didn't like try to make its own sort of thing. They were thinking purely with like
safety.
We need to make safety. Yeah, and it's the same thing with Warner Brothers. It's like we want to do what Marvel does rather than we want to make this good so that we can make more stuff, so we can make more fucking money.
Disney has more money to blow. Like, if Iron Man had sucked, actually, Disney did Disney already have Marvel?
No, dude. Disney didn't buy Marvel until Marvel was already huge.
Big, yeah.
But Disney can spend money on these risks, I guess.
But so can Universal, so can Warner Brothers. Like, you're making excuses for gigantic companies that own news stations, new movie studios. Like, these are we're talking about these big risks, dollars right now.
These risks, right? The Mummy was not a fucking cheap movie to make. If they would have made a smaller, more concise movie with a director that didn't demand to be as paid much,
they're spending. They're spending their money in the wrong places, is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, maybe get a good director, maybe get a good I don't know, other stuff. But like one of the things you really need to spend money on that people are not spending money on is the writing. Like the problem with a bunch of these movies is the scripts are terrible.
Yeah, and not only that, but a problem with a lot of and this is the problem that is permeated Hollywood for fucking 20 trillion years since the dawn of time. Hollywood's sign was just floating out into the instant cosmos, and even then there was fucking nepotism. They hire writers who are shit because they know someone. That's the only reason. Maybe it's fucking John Landis's kid. Maybe he's just been sucking so much dick.
Maybe he's Jaden Smith.
As Kurtzman or maybe he's fucking Jaden Smith. Jaden Smith actually didn't write that. That was Ezra Conan. Anyway, but yeah, it's just they have like all of these people who are either related to people.
We're talking about his actor, but him as an actor.
Acting. Yeah. And rather than hiring someone who's good, like if you're good in Hollywood, you have to either make it in an indie movie or make it by the skin of your teeth. Have a fucking someone
or get lucky and have be friends with someone on accident.
Be friends with someone on accident, or get so lucky that a producer actually looks at your scripts and the pile of fucking 20 trillion scripts he goddamn has. He's got sent from 20 billion different agents. That's how fucking Hollywood works. It's tough as fuck to get into Hollywood.
Anyway, we've been going for about an hour and a half. I want to keep this to a tight 2 hours because Thel has to leave.
Actually, I have to leave like when we take a break.
So I was thinking we would just not do a break and go right into news now.
Okay.
Unless you want to talk about games for the last 20 minutes, but I don't have anything to say. I have not had time to play it.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I basically have to leave now because I'm leaving at 6.
Okay.
So,
Well, do you want to just cut it short? We can have a short episode. I mean,
okay, you and I could talk a little bit about the news real quick, Saine, if you want.
Well, how about this? Let's just cut it short. I'll go through the news really, really quick.
Okay.
I'll go through the movie.
Why don't you do the movie news? Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
okay,
Animal Crossing Pocket is pretty good.
Okay.
Pocket
Yeah,
Camp,
that's okay.
pretty good.
That's
I would try it. It's free.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Why
feel.
not?
It doesn't feel very
It doesn't feel nearly as grindy as I expected it.
Well, because it's just Animal Crossing. The only thing
Yeah.
is you can pay to speed up timers, which is not a thing that you could do before, but whatever.
Yeah. Oh, whatever. Yeah. First things first. Lady Bird. Lady Bird is fucking going crazy. Everyone loves Lady Bird. Lady Bird is a movie that has been getting like a ton of buzz, even like before it was released. It was filmed in a bunch of, there were a bunch of fucking film things that a lot of people went to. They saw Lady Bird and they were like, wow, this is gonna be a real fucking popular movie. Get it out now. It's gonna be great. And now it's came out and it has like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like it is broken records for the most critically loved Rotten Tomatoes film. And
What's it about?
Okay, it's this movie about a girl who lives in Sacramento, and she basically is just she's a teenager, basically trying to get away from her, sort of tough house life with her recently unemployed father and her mother, who can be kind of a pain to deal with sometimes, and that's basically what it is.
That's boring.
Holy shit. It is another film by this has been a really, really, really good year for female directors. You had Patty Jenkins fucking it up with Wonder Woman. You had Sofia Coppola coming out with like her best movie since fucking Lost in Translation.
Again, fucking it up in a good way.
Yeah, fucking it up in a good way. Usually when I say fucking it up, it's fucking it up in a good way. You had killing it. You had what was her name? Oh gosh, I don't remember the lady's name. The lady who did We Need to Talk About Kevin released a movie in film festivals this year that was apparently really, really good that I really want to see, but I don't go to film festivals because I don't have the money. And then this lady, Greta Gerwig, who released Lady Bird, who broke Rotten Tomatoes records. Good job. Female Directors is in now. Congratulations. Hey, Hollywood. Hey, fucking Hollywood. Hey.
Just hire people who are good at doing stuff.
Stop fucking looking at demographics, you bastards! Yeah. It's gone crazy. People love Lady Bird. I am excited to see Lady Bird. I want to see Lady Bird. Apparently there's a bunch of religious stuff, that the mom's apparently very, very religious, and I feel like this movie will speak to me on a very personal level. So yeah.
I think maybe I'll watch it on a release, like a stream release or something. I probably won't see this.
Yeah, I probably won't be able to see it in theaters either, just because of the fact that and I know I will want to see it.
Same.
And like I that's basically the only way I can go and see it.
Right.
The next thing, the British Independent Film Awards came out. Death of Stalin was big. If you don't know about Death of Stalin, there was a movie that came out called In the Loop, back in the 2000s. Specifically about British intelligence learning about like how trying to figure out if Iraq had nuclear weapons. It was hilarious, and In the Loop is the same guy. Death of Stalin is the same guy doing another movie like this, and I'm super excited for it. I don't think it's come to theaters yet, here at least. The 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri also won a bunch of stuff out of that too, which is great. I'm glad to see Michael McDonough making fucking waves, because I love that director, and I loved him since In Bruges. I love Seven Psychopaths. I'll probably love this movie. And there was another one. Oh, Lady Macbeth was another movie that I haven't heard very much about, aside from passing mentions. Oh yeah, Lady Macbeth was good. So yeah, that one also might have been a female director. I don't remember, but yeah, good stuff. Good stuff all around. And that's about all there is in movies this week.
Yeah, there's not much gaming news either.
Yeah. I can start on gaming news. These are kind of quick ones.
Okay.
The first and fastest one, and pun intended, is that they put a Sonic t-shirt in Sonic Forces. It's free DLC. You can now equip your in-game avatar with a picture of Sanic.
I thought that was already in there.
No, they
I'm
just
actually
added
surprised.
it today, apparently. Yeah,
Remember,
which is ridiculous, I think. But I mean, okay, it's
Gotta go
whatever.
fast.
way back when, what was it? Tribes Ascend.
Memes
No,
guy,
yeah.
am I right?
Speed and Sanix.
Yeah,
Oh,
there
I
was
miss
like a
that game.
cheat code that you could put in to, instead of measuring the speed in kilometers per hour or miles per hour, it would unlock a third option to measure it in Sanix, which was the same number as the kilometers per hour, but it just said you were going 4 million
4 million
Sanix,
yeah.
which is great.
Yeah.
That's all I really want to say about Sanic. Now,
Man, the
this
audio
one's
for Discord
interesting.
is really being
Oh,
crappy
boy.
right now. Let me change the server real quick.
Okay.
It is like it's
I'm not
been
hearing
kind
it.
of bad, but it's like been even worse lately.
Right. Tell me when.
Change? I think it changed. Okay.
Okay. So the next up here is, this is an interesting one.
Here, let me change it one more time.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, that sounds better.
The developers of Fortnite put out lawsuits against it was a few. It was kind of like a few players that were using cheat programs in their game. They are actually suing them. Now, the problem with this is that one of these people that they decided to sue was a 14-year-old boy, and his mother is having to dispute the claims because the first dispute here is that the terms of service require parental, like if you're under the age of 18, your parents have to say, yeah, it's okay for you to play it. She claims that she did not say it was okay for him to play this game, which is a technicality, but whatever.
Yeah.
The second thing is she claims,
Well, a terms
that...
of service is not an official contract anyway, and it's every time there's ever been a terms of service in any like lawsuit ever, it does not hold water. So
Right.
So just a heads up, typically terms of service aren't very strong contracts anyway.
Yeah.
But
Fair enough. The second thing is that she claims that they are claiming that these people who are using the cheat program modified their game. She claims that her son did not, in fact, modify their game himself. He instead downloaded a program that was already created, and that they should be going after the creators of this cheat program. They also claim that the cheat program is causing them to lose money, which it is. The mother claims that it is not, because he was cheating in Battle Royale, which is a free-to-play mode of Fortnite. I believe the whole game is free-to-play. That's probably more arguable because,
yeah,
like if you're winning a lot because you're cheating, you like, I don't know how Fortnite's payment system works, but you might like unlock stuff faster that you would otherwise might pay for, stuff like that.
I don't know.
And lastly, and this is a big one, this is actually really bad for Epic Games. They released the names of all of the players that they are suing. In the state in which this kid lives, it is illegal to release any information about a minor whatsoever.
Yeah, that
so
seems
they
like
straight up broke the law when they released this kid's name. So that could cause problems for them.
Stepping back, what do you guys think about you using a cheat? Like, should you be liable if you are using a cheat?
I think
Here's
that
the thing.
Be
I
liable.
think you should be liable to be banned from the game. I don't think you should be sued for using a cheat that someone else.
Yes, I don't believe you should be legally liable. Somebody who creates it is a little bit muddier. Like,
yeah, I feel like we kind of agree on that point. I don't think that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you shouldn't, and that is like. I don't know. I guess I agree that it's bad, but
yeah.
I don't think that going to the point of a lawsuit over players of your game, especially when you. Oops, one's 14. I don't know. It just seems like
if
I actually need to head out and get ready.
Okay, that's fine.
Should I leave my camera on?
You don't have to. I can just switch the overlay.
Okay, I'm going to turn it off in 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
I'll see you guys later.
Goodbye,
podcast.
Anyway, what were you saying?
So somebody who creates a cheat program is technically unlawfully modifying a thing that they didn't create. I don't know if there's precedent about it, but a creator, a creator, is this going to cause problems, or is the overlay okay?
Yeah, except the top of your head is a little cut off now, but
okay, I'll sit down. The person who uses a cheat program should not be legally liable for something that they do in the game. I do think, like, if you cheat, fuck you. You're ruined, especially in a multiplayer game.
I don't think copyright law has gotten to that point of being of. I don't think there's. Now, of course, standard disclaimer: I'm not a lawyer. Don't take legal advice from me. Blah blah blah. I don't think there has been precedent for modifying video game files. So, I know that you're not I mean, the thing is, like, it's complicated when it comes to source code. You're not allowed to republish source code and that sort of thing, and modifying game contents. It's illegal to publish that stuff. I don't know if it's actually illegal to modify it, because that sounds like a terms of service disagreement, because then you're breaking the contract of being allowed to use their license. But I think that,
which at that point they could just take.
Yeah, that's a different issue. Yeah, that's a different issue than modifying the game files, because I don't know. The thing is, like, you own a copy of a license, not a copy of the source code. Copyright law comes into it when you're trying to publish other people's work, not when you're changing something for your own use. So,
right. So it doesn't seem like it would violate copyright law. However, that isn't what Epic Games is claiming. What they're claiming is that by this group of people, and by extension this 14-year-old kid.
No, they are alleging that they are committing copyright infringement by modifying Fortnite.
Really?
Yeah.
When I had read it, it seemed like what they were alleging, or what they...
No, there's a line right here. Epic Games allege the accused committed copyright infringement by modifying Fortnite, in turn cheating, and thereafter live streaming it. So, yeah.
Fortnite is, like, being strangely aggressive with, like, legal action over their free-to-play games.
Because they're a bigger company. Epic Games is a big company.
That's true.
You have to remember that Epic Games owns Unreal Engine.
Yeah, that's true. It's weird, but I think that in the end of this issue, what they were concerned about, at least what it seemed when I skimmed the article, is that they were losing money off of this player cheating, or these group of players cheating. And so they're suing over loss of money and copyright infringement. But,
yeah, the thing is about that is I don't know enough about their business model to really make an assertion one way or the other about that. So
yeah, I don't know. It's just a mess. But the fact that a 14-year-old kid got caught up in it too is really bad for them.
That's a problem for Epic, yeah, because
you also can't sue a minor directly, and in the state that he lives, it's illegal to release information, which includes his name, and they already did that. So it was, like, first off, really stupid of them to just release all of these players' names in the first place.
Yeah, they should have had some foresight to think that maybe not all of our players are adults. But,
yeah.
I think part of the problem, too, is that if you don't know enough about who you're suing, that's a problem.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how are you even going to sue people if you don't know enough about them?
Yeah. I don't really know how much more I have to say about this, because without being more familiar with Fortnite, I don't really know what I can say about the business model. But I think that suing them over modifying the game, unless they're creating the, I don't know, service or whatever.
Right.
I mean, ban their account and IP ban them they continue to be a problem. I don't know.
Exactly. I don't know. It's a mess. It's not something they should have done. Is what I.
Yeah.
I
kind of feel for them. I kind of feel for them because they're trying to make their game fair for their players, but at the same time, like the way that they're going about it is not how you deal with that. So
or like go after the people who are creating these cheating programs, because even if you take legal action against a bunch of people using it, that's not going to stop people from
you can definitely prove that there's loss of money. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Let's move to the next thing.
Sure. So
PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds is going mobile with Tencent's help. So they're thinking about somehow releasing PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds in China through mobile platform.
Which sounds ridiculous because it barely runs on PCs.
Yeah.
I don't know how they plan to do that. I did strangely I read another article that looked like Tencent was releasing their own battle royale game. Are you sure that it's going to be specifically PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, or are they working with PlayerUnknown to develop a new mobile battle royale?
No, they own a stake in PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds.
Just like they own a stake in everything, yeah. So that's yeah.
No,
so,
I think they're says the translation of the announcement says the work is going smooth. Oh. There will be more details on the mobile PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds edition that will be coming soon.
Okay.
So it sounds like it is going to be actual PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds in some form.
God, that's really weird. But sure.
I mean, but okay. they might have to make some considerations. They might have to restrict like roles or options or that sort of thing. And it might and probably will run on its own closed server rather than being part of the main game.
Oh, for sure.
So they're probably just kind of remaking the game, but on mobile. But it'll probably have the same name.
Yeah, exactly. Makes sense.
Yeah, so I don't know. And they're also, it looks like they're going to be able to bring the popular shooter to China officially. Which is weird because not too long ago there was a story about how China was restricting Battlegrounds games in general.
Yeah.
So this is interesting to me.
They're going to have to make some huge concessions for the mobile game, huh?
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I mean, I don't know that they'll be able to convince China to allow even base PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds into China, because there was a whole thing about where China was specifically talking about battle royale games,
right,
and making allusions to like gladiatory arenas and stuff, and they thought that was bad for their citizens. So I don't know how that goes.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's another thing. Bungie is removing a Destiny 2 XP scaling setup based on player outcry.
That was hidden from the player.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a linchpin here, at least for me.
So what they were doing is they would make it so that if you were playing Destiny 2, the more you in succession you did certain events, the less experience it would give you, despite telling you that it gave you full experience. Right. The way people were able to prove this is they used an external program, which is funny because that's against their terms of service. They don't even allow overlay stuff. But
yeah,
they created a program that pulled data from the game as like while it was going live, and created a graph proving that the more that you played specific activities in succession,
like public events,
any activity, things that are activities include like world events, like the story missions. There's a lot of things that contribute to that, but the more you do that, they created a graph that the more that you do that, the less experience they give you, and they tell you that they're giving you full experience.
Right.
So I think this is incredibly dishonest.
I think that my big hang up with it is that it was hidden, because games have, we already argued about this before, but
no, just
games
go ahead.
in the past have lots of games give you diminishing returns on experience for doing the same thing. Like, they want you to vary your gameplay, they want you to do different things, experience all of the content they've made.
Do you have any examples off the top of your head?
Well, there's a system in Guild Wars where the longer a mob stays alive, the more bonus experience you get. So if you sit and farm an area, the mobs will just give you jack shit because they'll respawn, not give you anything.
Yeah, but again, and this is something that we were talking about earlier, the difference is a punishment versus a reward.
Right.
So you get a reward for killing a thing that no one's touched in a long time, but you don't get restricted experience from staying in one area. Technically, you don't ever get less experience for staying in one area, even if practically you get less experience. The difference is, one is a reward, one is a carrot, and one is a stick. You should give rewards to encourage people to play in different ways, but you should not punish them if that's how they choose to play.
Right.
That's how I feel about it. But I don't think there's a lot of, I mean, yes. I think the biggest issue here, regardless of how I feel about it, is the transparency, for sure.
Right.
But at the same time, like, there are things like, one of the microtransaction silver currency things that you can buy with that is,
bright engrams.
Yes, well, no. The thing
an
that
XP
bonuses, boosters. So if you use an XP booster, and then that encourages you to, like, grind in an area rather than just do whatever, right? It encourages you to do a specific task of gaining as much experience as you can in a small period of time. So if they basically trick you into buying something that effectively gives you a worse result.
Right.
And I think that is incredibly dishonest as well.
That definitely agree with that. One thing they did do was give you more rewards for things that they perceived as taking longer, like player versus player modes would certainly take longer than doing one match of PvP would take longer than doing like 1 or 2, 3 world events, depending on how like quickly you were moving between them, or a couple of those little green markers I forget called patrols. And so doing a match of competitive would give you more rewards instead of less. They also turned that off, so everything gives the same baseline experience across the board. I don't know how I feel about that, because I do think that things that
I don't. Where are you getting that information? Because that's not in this article.
It's not in that article? I swear I read it. You know what? I read a different article on my phone.
Oh. Well.
But they gave higher rewards again without.
No, but that's just bad balancing then. Like they shouldn't have bonus rewards for doing a PvP match. They should just give more rewards in the first place. It shouldn't be like this bonus thing, and then like the thing is, if the point of it is that it takes longer, then you should just give more experience for it. Like I don't see why they have to have a bonus system at all. Why not just have it give more experience? Like, yeah. And why reduce your experience for people? Like, what this is doing is it forces people to play all bits of content, whether they like them or not, to get maximum rewards. And that's not fair. You should be able to play the game how you enjoy it and not be penalized for it.
Right.
Especially not when they're lying to you about how you're being penalized about it. If it would be one thing, it would be one thing if the system was transparent and it was like, yes, you will get less experience if you continue to do those things, then people can complain about it to the devs or talk about it in the forums or whatever, or even warn other players not to play like that. But because they without telling anyone, put a system that like reduces the amount of experience you get in the way that you want to play it, it makes it feel like it's coercive into tricking you into thinking that you need something like an experience booster to get the amount of experience you want out of those activities you enjoy. Not cool.
Right.
So, I don't know. Like, this really pisses me off about Destiny. Like, they should not be doing this.
Well, the thing is, though, now they aren't. I mean, yes, it's after they were basically, like, hauled out on it, and it was shitty of them to do in the first place. I definitely agree. People should be transparent, but they
only changed it because they got caught, though.
Exactly.
Like, I don't care if you're gonna sit here and tell me that it's fine now because they changed it. No, it's not fine because it shows that they're willing to take advantage of their players. That's not cool.
I don't really know that was the intention, though. I don't know that their intention was to say, okay, well, since you like playing PvP, you have to buy an XP booster to keep up with.
In this case, I don't care about their intention. Honestly, they took advantage of their players, whether it was intentional or not.
Well, would it have been different if there was no option to buy an XP booster in the game? Would that have been any different? Because then
that certainly would have helped
people into.
Yeah, well, that certainly would have made me feel a little bit better about it. But honestly, like, they should not be punishing players for playing how they want to play.
Right.
They should reward players for doing different content, which they already do with their daily quests.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, they shouldn't do both. They shouldn't punish you for playing how you want to play, and then also, in the other hand, reward you for playing other things. Like,
yeah,
that is not good game design. And when you add this layer of experience boosters and stuff, it just makes it coercive on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
It would be different if it was either transparent or...
Here's a diminishing return that I thought of. It's, again, in Guild Wars. They're dungeons. Their dungeon systems, when you do a dungeon more than once, you just get lower and lower gold rewards until you're getting, like, nothing. And that the only reason they did that was to basically discourage people from running the same dungeon over and over again.
Yeah, but I think they do that in a different way, and the way they changed it would increase your total amount of gold anyway.
I think that the only way they really did it different was that they showed you that you were getting less gold, and they told you shouldn't do it over.
But the way that they structured it was still as a reward, because you don't get as much reward gold.
Right.
And they're transparent about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, transparency helps. Like, really, that is the major difference here. But I don't think that... The way that they kind of changed it in Guild Wars was they made it so that you got more gold for doing different dungeons. So if you ran through almost every dungeon, you would actually get way more gold.
Way more gold, yeah.
So
the reason they changed it in Guild Wars way back was because people were running Citadel of Flame
literally only two dungeons over and over again. So,
only 2 paths in the same 2 dungeons.
Right. So like I think that and really that, I mean, you can kind of argue that Guild Wars, like, you can convert gold or gems into gold and money into gems and whatever, but I think that it's a lot more far removed than something that, like, literally seems like you are purchasing something that it becomes less effective the more you use it.
Right. Well, the only thing that experience gave you at the end of the game also was, like, once you hit level 20, that's it. After you level up again, after level 20, you get bright engrams, which are just, like, skins.
But those are the things you can purchase.
That you buy off of, yeah.
Bright engrams are purchasable.
It gives you something that you can purchase with.
Yeah, so by reducing the experience, you also make it so that you encourage people to buy them more because they're gaining less from experience.
Yeah.
Without knowing it.
Yeah.
And also, it should also be noted that as of Sunday, they removed that system but they doubled the amount of experience it required to earn Bright Ingrams from 8,000 to, or 80,000 to 160,000. In the same patch, again, without telling anyone.
Then how did people figure that one out?
Because it's easier to figure that one out.
Okay.
You don't need a graph. They said that, and again, and actually, again, they made that change without adjusting the number. So you needed 160,000, but it still said you only needed 80,000. They said, oh, that was a bug because of the coming API update, and that was unintentional. But again, it's like, you don't change
just
that.
got in trouble for doing this. Yeah,
you don't be transparent and then change something and then hide what you changed and then like get caught for it being non-transparent again. Like, that's not reasonable.
You probably you probably would level up faster if you're power grinding. Now that the diminishing returns are gone, even if it takes twice as much.
Maybe.
Point.
I will grant you that, sure, maybe it is true, but that punishes everyone. Changing the Bright Ingram level punishes everyone.
Right.
No matter how you play. So that's not cool. Again, like, that's not... Yeah. Even still, if you want... Yeah. Even if I accept your argument, which I don't, necessarily, like, it's still not fair to punish the entire game for that same thing. Especially when they you changed it because you got in trouble for it with the players in the first place. Like, this is the kind of stuff that turns people off to video games that you publish. Because this is the stuff that makes it look like you're taking advantage of your player base.
Yeah.
Like, whether or not other games have done it in similar ways to greater or lesser degrees doesn't matter, because right now, in this moment, it looks like, by the record of these actions combined, that you are trying to take advantage of your player base.
Right.
Yes, Guild Wars made a change like that, but they did not make a change like that in a way that made it look like they were taking advantage of all of their players.
Right.
This is the same thing EA just got in trouble for. This is the same thing EA just got in trouble for. They changed the experience drops or whatever for or the loot box rate drops or whatever in Battlefront, and then
without
and
telling
then
anybody, they reduced the number of experience that you get.
Yeah, and they have the rewards for completing the campaign. So it's like, you can't give with one hand and take in the other in the same action. Like, you can't do that. That's not fair. I don't know. Yeah. Like, especially when you don't tell people. Like, that's where it really gets ugly.
That's I think that we're on the same page with that one. Like, this would have been way better if they had just, like, if they're, even if they didn't directly say, if you do the same thing over and over again, you get diminishing returns, but to say 800 XP, 800 XP, 800, when you're really getting 800, 600, 400, 200. Like, even if there were just a little number that went lower and lower, you could have caught on without using an external program and been like, maybe I should do something else.
And then you can be like, XP. Oh, I'm getting less experience. Maybe I should do something else. Or you ask someone, hey, why am I getting less experience here? Oh, and it's because there's diminishing returns. You should go somewhere else. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. Like, so that just, I mean, as someone who has Destiny, like, that turns me off.
Yeah.
Because a lot of what I do is just run around and shoot things. Because it's fun. And if I feel like they're trying to take advantage of me by manipulating experience numbers and the way that they display numbers, it just makes me not want to buy anything from them or trust them.
Right.
So
I never really planned to buy anything in that game anyway. Like,
I mean, I may or may not have.
I think the fun part of it was just playing the game, and I already bought the game. So,
well, I mean, sure, but people like their dances and stuff, and they like their shaders and their stuff that comes out of those Bright Ingrams, so people will drop money on those. And if I were one of those people who felt good about dropping money for their Bright Ingrams or whatever, which I don't think Bright Ingrams are rewarding at the best of times, to be honest. But even if I felt that way about Bright Ingrams, I would be less inclined to buy them if
Right.
they were manipulating the numbers to screw me over.
Right.
Uh,
It's another thing that's hard for me to like actually like say. I think that like when I get a Bright Ingram from leveling up, I'm like, oh cool, that just happened. I'll go see what it is later. I don't really care.
I don't either.
Like, I don't really want anything specific out of Bright Ingrams. I'm like, oh cool, some shaders. Oh look, I got a new ship. It looks
got a
cool.
new emote.
Yeah,
now I can wave at people.
Now I can go. Pew, 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 pew. It's like, who cares? But so it's hard for me to say. Like, I didn't care about Bright Ingrams. Once I hit level 20, I didn't care about gaining experience at all. So
I mean, Bright Ingrams are kind of cool still. I just
they're cool. What I really would grind for would be like those daily objectives that give you legendary boxes and stuff like that. That's what I wanted to get. And the XP gains at level 20 have nothing to do with that. So it's hard for me, but I know that there are people who want to just gain XP to get more Bright Ingrams because they're looking for X thing, or they just want to like say they have a high prestige level.
Yeah, I mean, when looking at this, especially as critics, right? We have to kind of put ourselves into the shoes of the people who would be paying for it, whether we would or not.
Right.
And I think this is a system that's very hostile towards consumers.
Right.
So, I don't know.
I just think that transparency is important. Period. You have to tell people when shit like that being done.
It's so funny because everybody's been talking about how EA is being the evilest company and stuff, and surprisingly Activision has been less evil than usual, and then shit like this happens.
Yeah.
Like,
it's not like, I don't know. This definitely isn't as egregious as Battlefront, though. Like,
no, it isn't. No, there's no question. Battlefront is just like they broke their game for that, for microtransactions.
Yeah.
Like that is a completely different situation.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that this isn't a coercive and taking advantage of its player base.
Right.
So it really disappoints me. It disappoints me a lot.
Does it say anything about how experience worked before level 20? Because like, does it still have diminishing returns in that? Or...
I don't know. Honestly, I haven't. I mean, maybe, but
yeah.
Like, I think that using rewards almost at all in video game design is kind of bad.
Using reward
or using penalties or punishments or whatever for doing the same thing is kind of bad in any game. And actually, there's a really good YouTube video about that subject that I would recommend. But basically, almost any time you do something like that, it annoys people or pisses them off. It's bad. It's just straight up bad game design to use punishments. When you add the element of money, that's where things get very difficult.
Okay. Here, like, I think that it's kind of a framing thing at the same time, though. Like, take World of Warcraft, for example. The first time you do a random dungeon fight for a day, you get, like, double experience, you get an extra bag of loot, and you get more gold. And that's the bonus for doing it daily, right?
Yeah.
But if they just, like, and that's how they frame it. You get bonus stuff for doing this the first time. But if they framed it instead, if they said, okay, you can only do a daily dungeon once, because after that, the rewards aren't worth it. And it was exactly the same. They just had less rewards instead of framing the other rewards as a bonus. Like, if they said you get half experience, half the gold, and you don't get a free bag of loot, instead of saying the first time you do get all this stuff, that's
a lot of it is framing. A lot of it is framing at the end of the day, yes. But I think diminishing returns in particular is bad because at the very least you can count on a base level.
Right.
So the difference between having diminishing bonus rewards and diminishing rewards in general is that eventually you're going to reach the infinity zero, right?
Right.
Eventually you will make nothing from it. Whereas at least with a diminishing reward, you'll stop getting rewards at a certain point and just get the base of doing that. So if you actually like to run whatever one dungeon over and over and over again, at least you get that base reward.
Should get, yeah.
And for instance, what if their goal was not to, or that in Guild Wars or whatever, their goal wasn't even to get gold. Their goal was to get the the tokens or whatever.
You still get.
So
you
still
get, took away the tokens though. You get less tokens as you run them. You have to do different paths in order to get the same number of tokens, and that took away the max number you could get.
I don't remember the specific numbers, but I think that if you reduce the amount of rewards that way, like, because again, it's like bonus versus base. You still get a base level, I think, in that regardless.
Yeah,
because those don't diminish to zero. Those just give you less rewards, and that continues to be my point. If your goal is not to get gold or whatever, your goal is to just get tokens, and the fastest way you think you can get tokens is by running the same one over and over again, that gives the player the choice of doing that versus doing something else. Whereas diminishing rewards, it through punishment forces you to do something else, even if what you want to do is run that over and over again because you find that the most effective way for yourself. Like, punishment is almost always worse in video games.
Right.
Trying to find this thing about it.
Is it another article that you saw?
No, it's a YouTube video specifically about how people use punishments.
Right.
I don't see it, but it's by Mark Brown in his Game Maker's Toolkit series. I don't remember which one it is. But yeah, I would definitely recommend checking out his videos because he does a lot of really cool stuff.
Okay.
And I really wish I remembered what specific episode. The problem is a lot of his thumbnails are red.
The same.
No, are red, so it's hard to look at which ones I've watched before.
I see.
Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. It's.
I think I don't know.
I agree. My main concern, my main problem with that is that they weren't transparent about it. I don't think it's super bad to have diminishing returns. I don't even know actually if the diminishing returns did go to zero. Like if 200, if like a fourth of the XP you should be getting.
That's not the point.
Yeah, I know that's not, but
like. I don't know, because
if they had just said the longer you do an activity, the less experience you'll get down to this, and if you still think you can get more doing this than doing something else, or you just like doing this better, that would have been fine. I just don't I don't think there even really would have been an outrage about it.
Being transparent would at least allow you to have the conversation about where you think that scaling is unfair. But by obfuscating, my mouth is like I'm all tongue tied. But by obfuscating it, you are lying to your players.
Yes.
So it's just ridiculous.
And if they hadn't hidden it, they probably wouldn't have even needed or felt the need to remove it.
Right. Then people could have complained about it, and maybe they would have changed the numbers a little bit.
Yeah, and they could have just done something different. But getting caught red-handed doing something like that, they kind of had to backpedal and just completely take it out. So, yeah. I think they should have taken out the diminishing returns and left in the upscaling of.
I don't think they
all
should
the
upscale
things.
anything. They should just make that have PvP baseline per match round
That's
or
what
whatever.
the upscaling did.
I know.
It
That's
gives you
what I'm
more-
saying. You don't need a system that upscales anything. All you need is a base amount that you get from doing a PvP match. If the reason
And
why is
make
because
it
it takes
more.
longer, then just give more. Like, that's not a
Right.
problem.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Like upscaling, I guess, isn't the right word. I just if it
Like, they
if
shouldn't.
it's
My
harder-
thing is, they should not have a system that dynamically decides how much experience you get and then lie about it. You should
Right.
have a system that transparently just tells you how much you get from a thing, and for longer things, it should be more.
Right.
Is that hard? Like,
No.
that
You
seems
just-
less complicated than
plug
creating
numbers
a
in.
system that arbitrarily decides when to give you less experience and lie about it. So
Right.
I
That's
don't
fair.
know.
Yeah. No. We definitely agree. Lying about it. That's probably the worst thing that they did.
Oh, and I forgot to change this.
We're hiding it.
The now discussing for fucking ages, but
Nah, well. You had to change the overlay for Thel too.
yeah. Anyway, so I think we're done for
Yeah,
now.
I think that's about it.
Got a little bit heated there, I guess, at the end, but
Yeah, that's okay. That's why we're.
so okay. Thank you for joining us this week. There's a few things that we want to mention this coming week. So last week, Thanksgiving week, I actually had internet problems, so I was not able to upload last week's podcast yet, episode 19. So
By the
today,
time you're watching this on YouTube, it probably will be up.
yeah. So what I'm gonna do is release last week's podcast on Tuesday, upload this podcast that you're watching right now on Wednesday.
So there's going to be 2 in a row.
I mean, oh well.
Which is, yeah.
I think Thel had a game come out on Friday or Saturday.
Yes, he had
Sonic EXE, the Assault,
Sonic.exe, the Assault.
went up. I believe Saturday,
Yes.
Friday or Saturday, one of those two. That's really funny. You should check that out. I rewatched that. That was good.
Ridiculous.
I think we have Night in the Woods coming out. Yeah,
yes, there
this week.
will be another Night in the Woods on Friday.
Is it the last one?
In fact, no, there are.
Well, another one anyway.
They're like there are multiple parts. There's got to be almost 10.
Okay. And then I think Thel is maybe. I don't know if he's gonna get something out on his own for this Friday or this coming Monday.
I don't think he is, but I know
Yeah, so
he is
it'll
working
either
on
be
another
this
video.
coming Monday or the next one. I think he's working on a
Involving-
Stellaris video.
Yeah, Stellaris and Endless Space, which we didn't get to talk about. I was hoping to talk about while he was here,
Right.
but
We'll have to talk about that next week because I
Yeah.
actually do want to talk a little bit more about Animal Crossing, but at the same time, that gives me a little bit more time to play it. So
yeah, same. I also wanted to talk about Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. You were asking me to sell you on it, and
oh yeah,
like the longer I play it, the more and more different it kind of becomes. So I like that. Just it gives me more time to play that too.
Okay,
to
well.
see how much more different it is. That's a good idea. For next,
all right.
next-
So next time we'll just make a point to talk about more games instead of almost nothing but TV and movies this week.
yeah,
Granted,
It's
we
good
did a
that
lot of
That's
that.
what
This
we
week.
did a lot. Yeah.
Anyway, have a good week. We'll see you next time.
And like, comment, and subscribe. And stay beautiful.
Okay. See you later.